This is for my home. This is for my family. This is for my community. This is for my city. I promise every day to wake up to fight for you, not for $1 million developers, special interests, or lobbyists, and bring back jobs for the unemployed, housing for our homeless, and end the migrant crisis once and for all, and wasteful spending of your hard-earned tax dollars. I promise to safeguard and protect NYCHA public housing, to keep people in their homes, refund the NYPD, put more cops on the streets and subways and in our communities to keep us all safe, bring back real law and order to our city so you and your family can remain safe day and night. Push for real bail reform to keep violent offenders where they belong, behind bars, and go after criminals and not presidents. Provide more funding and tax breaks within our districts to keep hospitals, libraries, schools, businesses, and community centers open year-round. Together with your help, support, and vote, I am confident we can all make New York City great again, leading our future. Vote for Jason Murillo, the City Council District 2. Jason Murillo, Option C. Leading our future. Jason Murillo. For more information, please visit DJ Loudmouth for NYC.com or Jason Murillo for NYC.com. And together, we are all stronger together. And I approve this message. I am Jason Murillo, DJ Loudmouth, a conservative, common sense choice. Elect me for common sense politics, where I put you first, always.
I wouldn't trade this for anything.
Trades, they work out sometimes. There's so many places to see, like Los Angeles, Houston, OKC, Phoenix, and the Bay.
We love our new house. We just have questions.
Oh, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Your State Farm agent can help you through all the unexpected moments.
I wish Bora Bora had a team.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
To the people who reach into a carton of warm, crispy, golden, perfectly salted McDonald's world-famous fries and return with just one. Who are you, and how do you do that? Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Hey, what's up, everybody? You know what it be. DJ Loudmouth, your baby mama's favorite DJ here. I'm not doing hip-hop today, ladies and gentlemen. I am doing a brand new show here on multiple platforms, radio, the whole thing. And it's called The Situation Room. That's right, The Situation Room, an eye on New York City politics and beyond. And I'm here with two distinguished fine gentlemen today. The Honorable Sergeant Gonzalo Duran, my co-host here every single week. And also the Bronx chairman of the Conservative Party of New York, the Honorable Patrick McManus. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Jason.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. The pleasure's all mine and all listeners out there and viewers around the world and the radio and that. So how's it going, Mr. Gonzalo?
You know, Jason, is going pretty good, and I'm glad, we're doing this today, getting politics out in the world for the people to listen without being filtered, without having anybody holding us, restricting us in any way we want.
Exactly. That's what our platform's about. Who's Next NYC FM. It's an open platform for everybody from independent artists, mainstream artists, regular people like us, all the way to politics as well. So it's unscripted here, unfiltered. It's not controlled by mainstream media. There's no echo chambers here. We're free to be gentlemen here, like we were at a cigar lounge or whatever at a Yankee game, and we're just here to shoot the shit and tell you how it is.
Well, if you remember, the Yankee games with you was pretty loud. So.
Yeah, it was. It was, and we're gonna see what happens here.
Well, Patrick, you're the guest of honor here.
Mm-hmm.
If you can give us a little bit about your background.
Yes.
All right. My name's Patrick McManus, born and raised in the Bronx, still living in the Bronx. Did some time as a police officer, went on to the fire department, since retired from the fire department. Raised my son here in the Bronx, and looking to spend the rest of my life here in the Bronx. That's about it. That's my life.
Okay.
And now you're running the Bronx Conservative Party.
Yes. Several years ago, I was getting fed up with the direction of the city. And I decided that sitting at home, screaming at the TV screen wasn't going to change anything.
Yeah, exactly.
And I realized I was part of the problem in sitting at home and doing this. So I got involved in the Conservative Party in the Bronx, and unfortunately in 2020, the chairman, William Newmark, the longtime chairman of the party, passed away right at the beginning of the pandemic, and I kind of left a void in the party, and I. In fear of what was going on in the city, I did not want to see the Conservative Party die in the Bronx.
So you stepped in. I stepped up.
I stepped in, and I became interim chairman. And in September of 2020, I was elected as chairman for my first full term.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And the Conservative Party has come a long way, which Gonzalo will let our people know about, our listeners out there.
Yeah, well, we can get that to a different part.
Yeah.
But, one of the big subjects today right now is that we have Trump is in town.
Yeah, definitely. Wait, Trump? I think I heard of him. Maybe you guys. Yeah, who's that? Who that? As the young kids should be saying.
Well, with that being said, I'm pretty sure I'm looking at two very Trump supporters right here. Pat, do you want to throw in on your 2 cents on that?
Absolutely. There's a lot to speak about here. What's going on right now with Donald Trump, especially here in New York, with a criminal trial that was concocted by a district attorney who actually himself had refused to pursue this case several years ago, has now concocted a crime that didn't exist. At the same time, he refuses to actually prosecute real criminals.
Exactly. That go out and kill people and rape them. Yeah.
It's really
and attack police officers.
Unbelievable situation. It just seems that Donald Trump's constitutional rights have just been terminated. They
thrown out the window.
Absolutely nothing right now. And my true fear in regards to that is if they could do it to a billionaire,
they'll do it to us.
What can be done to all of us? Whether you like Trump, you don't like him, it's irrelevant. The fact that his rights have been stripped on every single level has to really start opening your eyes and saying, wow, what is going on in this country?
Yeah, definitely. My point of view is this, technically for now, I'm registered as a Democrat, but I am working on changing that, But overall, regardless of your political affiliation, it's simple like this. How can a former president of the United States, let me put my head around this, in the United States, this is something you hear in third world countries, in communist dictatorships. How can a former president of the United States and the leading Republican nominee, all right, and perhaps the next president of the United States, based on the polls and the way the economies are going and the country and everything, have more indictments than a mafia boss? How does Donald J. Trump have more indictments than John Gotti, who allegedly killed people, had people murdered, hundreds of people murdered? All right, rest in peace to John Gotti. But that is insane. Trump has not killed anybody. unless it was under direct orders as president. You know, which your commander-in-chief, that's one of your part of your responsibilities day to day. But explain that to me, guys. You know, how can a former president of the United States have more indictments than a mafia boss?
Pat, you want to take that one first?
There's no logical way that could happen, quite honestly. It's, you know, again, I've been hearing the words banana republic being thrown around.
Election interference.
Election interference. These are things that, you know, Russia, some Central American dictatorships. These are things you see in those places, not here in the United States. You know, it's
and it sets a bad precedence, because if it can happen to Trump, obviously it can happen to anybody.
So,
yeah, when we look at Russia, you know, we look at their the way that Putin, you know, is keeping power.
Yeah.
I mean, he pretty much either eliminated, or made it illegal for anybody to really compete with him.
Yeah.
And, you know, over here, we're looking at that and we're saying, you know, that's not right. We shouldn't. You should have fair elections. But then you look at our elections and how it is. And right now we're in an election season, and we just finishing the petition season. For those that don't know, for you to be on the ballot, you got to get signatures, and then, you know, you finish that, and then you know, come November you start voting for people. But, you know, in this situation, in my level of politics, you know, I'm fighting to keep people's names on a ballot, to get on the ballot. When it comes to the presidency level, though, you know, they're using the courts and any pull that they can to literally knock them off the ballot. And in my opinion, they're only making them more famous.
Exactly.
They're giving them free publicity and getting the people riled up to say, you know what, this is the guy.
I wish I had his publicity. I don't want all the indictments, but I could definitely, if I had his marketing and promotion, I'll be on the biggest station in the world, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I will be elected president. You could be elected president, if we had half of his publicity.
Well, I mean, just let's put in the contents of the bond that they did on them. I mean, I don't really think
$500 million.
$500 million. I don't.
That's
think,
all right.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody, you know, even had that type of money to.
It's not even a question of having the money. It's they were not allowing him to appeal the decision unless he posted this money.
Yeah.
Basically, that's going back to debtor's prison.
Yeah.
You know, like, you don't have the money to pay, you're going to jail. You know, we're not even going to let you argue.
I thought the mafia was bad, but the mafia is nothing compared to the real mafia is the damn judges and the government.
The Justice Department right now.
I'm scared of them.
Well, if I disappear, I want to make sure that this gets on air. You know, I've always called the Democratic Party, you know, and I don't want to make
organized crime.
I want to distinguish, and this is my.
I got friends on both sides, but go ahead.
On my personal opinion, I'm not against the Democratic Party. I'm against the Democratic machine. And for them, it's literally like a gang. They control the publicity, the funds, the media. You know, they're controlling pretty much everything that possibly put the name recognition into the regular citizen's face, ears, mouth, you know, whatever. But the worst part is they're doing a poor job even at that.
Yeah.
So, like, even most people don't even know that it's an election season or anybody besides, you know, the president to vote for. And they'll just go there and they'll just, you know, put a name or on anybody.
And people are brainwashed. Like, I've seen people, and half of them are brainwashed. It doesn't matter who's on there. It could be a blank piece of paper. They'll go and vote Democrat just because.
Down the line.
Because they've been programmed for decades and decades. Yeah, there's been several good Democrats, you know. But overall, it doesn't matter who's on the ballot. It could be a blank piece of paper like this, right here. And if it's Democrat, that's it.
Pat, do you have any stories of something that you've seen?
Well, I've seen plenty, visiting poll sites and the violations of rules and regulations.
And I used to work at board elections, so I know this very well.
I've seen some really interesting things, and you know, I brought it to the attention of the Board of Elections, and it doesn't seem to change. To what you were saying about people not even realizing the election season and all, I think that's part of the Democratic tool, is to stay quiet and keep people uninvolved in politics. They don't want people to come out and vote. They constantly accuse the Republican Party of voter suppression. And all I see from the Democratic Party is voter suppression. It's it's part of their trademark, I think, at this point. And if you notice, some of the some of the Democrats maintain their power by just staying quiet.
Yep.
And they kind of hide because they know, as you said, Jason, people are going to vote down, especially here in New York City. They're just going to go down that D line. They're going to have no idea who it is they're voting for.
And if you're going to vote, you might as well know who you're voting for and what you're voting for.
Well, I'd like to give an example. For last year, the City Council, 17 district, in a district of roughly, don't quote me on this exact numbers, but I believe in over 150,000 plus residents, right? There's about 64,000 plus registered voters. And, no, you know what? This is for the last election, the 77th Assembly special elections. The governor, she, well, I don't want to say her specifically, but her office didn't publish the notice for when the special election was coming up. And then out of those numbers, there's over 150 plus residents, over 64,000 registered voters, and they won the state assembly with 1,164 votes.
Yeah,
or something like that.
That's crazy.
That's $140,000 plus job, and then
sounds
power.
good to me.
Yeah, and power over our way of life with 1,164.
That's more than I get paid
votes.
here.
So imagine how disenchanted the people are that they can't even get to the polling sites, and somebody now controls all that with 1,164 votes.
That is wild.
Oh,
that is wild. I wish I would have did that.
Yeah, I mean, city council races some of them are decided by 100 to 200 votes.
Yeah. Or because there's no credible Republican or conservative candidate, the Democrats pretty much unopposed in more than half the districts in New York City. Yep. Unopposed. They just go in. Well, just like that.
We're working to put an end to that.
I hope so.
Gonzalo and I have been working very hard
to
put an end to that.
It's been going on in my neighborhood for over 20, 30 years.
Yes.
They just put a Latina woman, doesn't matter who it is, and they just go unopposed.
I mean, you look at the 81st Assembly District here in the Bronx.
Too.
It's like a birthright.
Yeah.
It was like a birthright. Father hands it down to son, and that's just the way this is progressing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it was City Council.
I think I know you're talking about.
Jeffrey Dinowitz ascended
and
was elected to Assembly. His son was immediately elected into his city council position.
And then Cuomo for governor, the father and son,
Yeah, it's...
that great Mario Cuomo. And then, of course, Andrew, Cuomo, stuff like that.
And just to be specific, once again, I don't think we're trying to pick on any specific individuals, but if you look at the way they did their campaigning, that's what we're trying to say specifically to the audience so that they know, when Dinowitz has been in control in that area for decades, and his son literally walked into the position without any competition and without, and if you look at the pollings, I don't remember it back then, but I highly doubt it was that many that voted.
People don't come up for city council. Only when it's president, and if not, they're just going down the line.
Well, that's another shame that people don't realize. The person sitting in the White House has the least effect on your daily life.
Exactly.
The most effect on your daily life is your city council members.
And I felt that firsthand the past couple of years, especially last year when they took my car.
Yeah.
I took it to Yonkers.
And this was part of, they moved the election cycle for city council. They're moving all those races into off years.
And they did city redistricting, district redistricting and all that. Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff.
Yeah, with those, I like to circle back to those numbers.
Yeah.
For the city council, it's coming up again for next year.
Yeah, 25.
And so how do we get people to be more active and listen and want to vote? Well, right here, this is a platform so people can understand and know to come up. But getting individuals like the candidates to come and speak is one of the biggest things. Recently, we had Jonathan Rinaldi, who was running for the
State Assembly.
Well, he was originally
originally for
Congress.
OLC. Yeah, originally.
Congress.
and he didn't get the lines or anything like that.
No.
So he switched over to the State Assembly.
Yeah.
I think he's already on the ballot, or he should have made the ballot for that. But he's a vocal person. Now, he's gotten national attention, but he's only gotten national attention for, maybe not the right reasons of what we want to see
for
in
protesting,
politicians,
throwing himself in front of.
But if you're a good, hardworking citizen who's not within the Democratic Party, you don't get that line. And even if you are in the Democratic Party, they'll try to stop it as much as they can. So, there's a lot of balances and we have to get. I always direct, and this may not be the most friendly person or the most relatable, but, I blame the people. It's your choice. If you're upset and fed up with the way politics are going, then either step up or vote. Vote for somebody. Get out there. They keep on making the, what's it called? The voting days. They expanded it. Early voting.
Yeah.
It keeps on getting further and further. I think it's up to 10 days now.
Yeah. There's talk about expanding it, but that's not going to be the answer. The answer is engaging the voters and making them feel part of it. And I always say the shame of it is, I looked at it in, I think it was Iraq after Saddam was removed, and they had their first supposed open democratic election, and how proud and happy those people were in that country to go and vote. And I remember they had to put their thumb in the ink on their ballots, and everybody was so proud to hold up their thumbs, and they were traveling hours to go and vote. Meanwhile, here we have 3% of the population maybe shows up to vote, and it's sad that in the greatest country on earth with the most rights, we don't celebrate our rights. We don't treasure them. And, that was a very eye-opening thing for me to see those people, how proud they were just to vote.
Yeah, well, people like me, that's, I guess I'm a public figure. I have a certain celebrity status.
DJ Loudmouth. Come on. Come on.
I mean, I got about 500,000 listeners weekly in that, on the radio and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's all. That's all.
Yeah, that's all. But
I got a couple of people listening to me.
Yeah, right. A few, right? We got But yeah, I know this well firsthand and stuff like that, and like either you got to put up or shut up, right? And stuff like that. So you got to put your money where your mouth is and stuff like that. If you don't like the way things are going in your community, your neighborhood, then do something about it. So I don't want to say too much right here, right now. With our listeners and that, but I am exploring the possibility of possibly throwing my name in, and myself and maybe somebody as well with me. For the District 2, for the City Council for next year.
Wish you luck.
You have somebody
in my neighborhood.
Now you have somebody that can give you some basic information on something like this. So let's say, we have individuals that are interested in voting. So then now we're saying step up to the plate or vote, right? Pat, how would you tell somebody who's non-political, who wants to get their foot in the door, what would be the starting process?
Well, first, you got to, as Jason just did, let people know you're interested. You need to let your friends, starting with your friends and family, and then you branch out from there, and you start building a support network. And then once you have that in place, unfortunately, in this world, money does play.
Yeah.
Money plays a big part in politics,
yep,
unfortunately.
I know that. Yep.
The least important thing right now seems to be the actual character and policy of a politician. It's more the popularity and how much money they can spend. But that would be it. Start building your network before you're even a candidate. You need to start building that network and just letting people know you're interested. And then once you got the systems in place, then you could approach parties. So chairmen such as myself, vice chairs such as Gonzalo.
Okay.
In your local, since you're speaking of city council, it's your local party, and you approach them, ask to be interviewed, and that's how you get the ball rolling.
Yeah, definitely. Because I see the change in my neighborhood for the past, decades and several years, and I've seen the neglect of NYCHR, public housing. I've seen the increase of crime. Obviously, we all know and felt in our communities, our neighborhoods with the migrants, that, obviously crime is through the roof. We have lack of funding.
No, it's not. Listen to Mayor Adams.
Yeah, the statistics say it's low.
Statistics say crime is down.
Fake news.
Crime is down.
Fake news. Fake news.
Don't believe what you see every day.
Yeah.
Listen to Mayor.
Trust the pundits on mainstream media.
Yeah.
And definitely in Eric Adams and all that. That's why we got 1,000 National Guard troops from Governor Hochul down here.
Yeah.
And it's like the airports.
Yeah,
when you go to subway.
I like what you were saying, Jason, but I just want to backtrack a little bit and throw in a little bit more from what Patrick was saying. I'm a key component of the voter registration card.
Okay.
And most of the time I'm carrying them with me.
Okay.
So if this was a different situation, I would throw one in front of you and say, look, if you're not happy with your party, then join a different party. And then, those registration cards you should have on you at all time.
Okay.
And the support network, that's where it's going to come from those registered voters. Take those registered voters, get people to sign up, whether they've a different party or they don't have a party or if they're not registered. Then you accumulate those, and then right there you have a solid group. Now, depending on the party, you're going to need a lot, and you're going to need a lot of support. But I mean, you're a good talker, and you're very vocal.
And I got 500 to 1 million listeners.
And you have stuff like that. And you add all those together. Remember, there's going to be people that's listening to you, but they're not within your district.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's
but they still could support though. If
they could support, yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Either donations or if they're in the New York City area. They could come volunteer and stuff like that and spread the word. Social media.
And I'm more of a on the ground, small, centric type of person.
Yeah.
So I understand that bigger picture there, but once again, getting the core group is important.
Exactly.
And then you build from there.
Exactly. Grassroots movement, start small, and then even though I have a lot of listeners and followers on social media and all that,
Because a prime example, John, and he spoke candidly about it. He is somebody with national attention that he's received in the past, but he still couldn't get a party favor.
And unfortunately, he couldn't get donations.
And the donation part was a secondary thing because is he going to be taken as a serious candidate? And, you could tell he got a little frustrated with that because, there's a certain decorum that we expect at a certain level.
There's a time to be loud and there's a time to be conservative. And, there's a time and place for everything.
And most people, they wouldn't really gravitate to that because if they did, guess what? More people like him would be in office.
Well, I mean, he does sound like Biden, when he screams in that, a radical socialist Democrat, even though, I love Biden and that, but Trump 2024, and maybe Durant and Loudmouth 28, we never know.
Oh, wow.
So we'll see.
Ambitious from city council to president.
Hey,
wow.
Hey, like Frank Sinatra said.
That was a big jump.
And Frank Sinatra said, what is true in life? If you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. So
Very
it all
true.
starts here in New York.
And I hope you do listen to that small centric part that I mentioned earlier.
You got one of those voter registration cards?
Trust me, I'm going to get you a bunch of them too.
You don't have one right now?
This is one of those few times I didn't.
Okay, I would have signed it if you had it right now.
I'll make sure you get one by the end of the weekend.
Okay, all right.
With that being said, you can also go online as well. But I'd rather do it in person because I think it's more personal like that.
I tried to do it online, but I was told that they're not doing the processing right now until like September or something like that.
They won't be processed till after the primary.
Because I did switch back to Republican because I was Republican when I was, a few years ago before I came back up here. But of course, to get a job in New York City, you have to be registered as a Democrat. So that was the only purpose. That was the only, But yeah.
Before I backtrack, you had mentioned crime.
We're about to take a quick break here. We'll have a few of our sponsors, but we'll be right back with more real talk, politics, the Situation Room with Gonzalo Duran, Patrick McManus, and DJ Loudmouth. We'll be right back. All right, we are back here with the Situation Room. There you go. And we're with Gonzalo Duran, the chairman of the Conservative Party, Patrick McManus, and DJ Loudmouth. I think you know me. So here we go. Go ahead, sir.
You know, before we went on break, we had started talking about the crime in New York City, statistics. You know, I don't think anybody here would agree that we're down on crime.
Not at all.
If you look at the videos and if you just go through the city, you'll see there's a lot of crime going on, but nobody's reporting it. And it has to do with a bunch of issues: bail for reform, immigration issues, etc. Pat, is there any one particular you want to start with?
Well, they're all connected. Everything is connected, as Gonzalo and I have discussed, and Jason. It's a compounding issue. Started with bail reform back in 2020 when that idea first, that insane idea. And then when bail reform started failing, well, then they changed the way we play with statistics here and all, show it's a success. And now fast forward to today with this migrant crisis, and it is, no matter what anybody says, we are at a crisis point.
But who created that crisis, though? That's the question.
This is, we were close to a crisis under Obama. I mean, I think most people have forgotten how bad it had gotten at the end of Obama's administration, and then Trump somehow stepped in and got it under control. And now we're seeing that as soon as the Democratic policies started being put back into effect on a federal level, what has happened at the border. And, that in New York especially, and in all the large cities that have adopted these extreme
cities,
left bail reforms, and, because they've all followed across the country. And now that's the migrant crisis. Again, these countries aren't sending their best people.
No, not at all.
This is a replay of the '80s with the Mariel.
Yeah, remember when Cuba,
flotilla,
when Castro sent everybody up?
Cuba took all the prisoners and all the mental hospital, put them on boats and sent them
here. It's the same thing again.
We're experiencing that same thing again. So, when you combine that with the migrant crisis, I mean, God, we're under attack.
We got an actual invasion right here in America, in our cities and towns and cities.
And it's just, again, one bad policy
after
stacked on top of another and top of another, which is what is putting us where we are. And we need to change the direction.
Where the city's in verge of bankruptcy.
Well, let's attack one thing at a time. So let's say we say bail reform is wrong.
Yeah.
What would make it right?
What would make it right? It needs to be approached with common sense. I have to agree. The basis for bail reform was Khalid Browder was, I think he was 19 years old, imprisoned in Rikers Island. Absolutely, that was a travesty. Things like that should never happen.
Yeah, if it's like a misdemeanor or something like that.
It was, it was horrible. It's horrific. Okay, but the answer is not to turn 180 degrees and say, well, Khalid Browder didn't belong in jail for 2 years being held for trial, so nobody belongs in jail being held for trial. It's just not logical to apply that to every situation. We don't have, and which is what bail reform did, was just totally.
You're letting violent offenders free so they could go and commit murder.
Yeah.
And more crimes and attack police officers and everything.
So bail reform needs to be changed. I think it needs to be repealed completely to start with.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we need some common sense legislation that will prevent Khalid Browder situations from occurring again while still protecting society.
Exactly.
Now, realistically speaking, I mean, the House majority probably wouldn't have it repealed. I mean, could we ratify it to a certain degree that people could be happy at? Like for me, I don't believe any violent crimes should have that open policy.
No, not at all.
Revolving door automatically. I believe some level of felonies can be also at the judge's discretion.
Well, see, that's part of the problem is they've changed the way they define a violent crime. Stabbing somebody is now not really defined as a violent crime. So that they could, the
So I guess we should
individuals
be
can
like Trump.
qualify.
We should be like Trump and go on Fifth Avenue and just pull out a gun into broad daylight and just shoot somebody.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but.
Well, I'm killing some of my competition on the air.
There you go.
You know.
Pat, with the with that level, I mean, what other changes would you make?
Yeah.
Or think that we could make that's realistic?
Yeah.
It's very hard to say. I mean, first of all, any violent crime or even an attempt at violence, the individual deserves to be treated differently than a shoplifter.
Exactly.
And this is what we're not doing.
They treat they go after shoplifters more than somebody that sexually assaults somebody or
Well, I don't want to say that, but I've seen sanitation workers more effective in giving tickets and let's say the vendors on the street not taking their food away, putting them in jail, than it is for somebody who's literally committed a crime with multiple ways of
just
evidence.
Look at me when I had my car. The ticket police were giving me tickets every day, 2-3 times, like it was like candy. Like, here you go. Like, it was.
So now, if you would have attacked the cop, you could have got away with that and then kept your car. But you chose to be a good citizen.
Well, no.
How dare you?
If I would have attacked one of the ticket police, the parking ticket,
the traffic.
Maybe
it would be the least of my problems.
Maybe they're giving you a medal or something. I don't know.
Or maybe I'll wind up the next mayor. I don't know.
You know, I've heard this. I've heard this word thrown out a couple of times.
Yeah.
In my circles recently. Common sense.
Yeah, common sense.
I don't really know the whole dynamics of the system itself, but I do know one thing. I talk to lawyers and they say they're overworked, especially the legal aid lawyers. The comps say they're overworked. I never hear about the judges saying they're overworked. And I would assume that the cases have to be heard through them. So if they maybe work faster, would that solve and make the numbers smaller? I don't know. I'm thinking in my Marine mentality.
Yeah.
Whenever we have a situation where we have an influx, we focus all our attention on reducing that influx. And then things happens to get better. At least that's been my point of view, through my whole adulthood. Why we can't do that with why so many people are waiting 6 months, 1 year, 2 years in for their day in trial, because the whole part of our justice system is that we have speedy trials. We have that ability. We have that right.
They do it for Trump.
Right.
So if they do it for Trump, they'll do it for a regular person.
Well, it's an interesting thing that you're saying this. Even in the Trump trial now, I don't understand why, but from what I heard, this judge only works 4 days a week because it's his discretion to do that.
Sounds like a nice job.
And they don't work Wednesdays. That's why
jury
selection, there was no jury selection on Wednesday.
Well, if he would have took Tuesdays off, I would have said that was because it's Taco Tuesdays. But, But I don't know what's Wednesdays. Is that pizza Wednesdays?
Well, I
don't know.
Sushi.
I've been hearing different stories, and one was a traditional golf day for judges.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I heard of that too.
I don't know.
So he should play a few rounds with Trump.
I don't know what the reasoning is, and I don't really feel that judges should have that discretion to only hold court when they feel like it or on their schedule. There should be requirements.
There's this thing that happens every year, and I mean it happens every year, and it happens to do something that we spoke about a few minutes ago. Elections, and voting. We pick our judges. We vote and choose a majority of our judges, and that's one of the key components of people walking into place. And I don't want to be disrespectful when I say this, but I have very little respect for these judges because they walk into their positions. It's not something that I think that should be, validated in the way it's done.
Because once they get the job, they basically almost have it for life.
And
A
yeah,
lot of them.
majority of them.
Right.
Pat, I mean, this is not my forte when it comes to the judges because I've always worked on candidates. But do you have anything to throw into that?
There's a lot of issues with the way judges, criminal court judges are. How does it work? Forgive me. There's appointed judges. There's elected judges. We elect a lot of judges to be civil court judges, and the system somehow just puts them in as criminal court justices, and which is a big part of the problem. And again,
Yeah, because I'm sorry to cut you off, but
No.
how can someone that has a judge that has a real estate background or civil cases, how can you just switch them and put them in a criminal court?
right?
I'm
vice
sure it's
versa.
judge's discretion.
Yeah, but
No, it's
that's a big problem.
The big rumor is the Democratic Party's decision.
Oh.
Okay, here we're coming back to that. Okay,
Oh, that's all.
I have no proof, but
Yeah.
the rumors are that the Democratic Party decides who's going to be judges,
Okay.
and once they're in place, which court they're going to sit in. It's rumors. I'm not saying whether it's true or not, but this is rumors I've heard, and I do find it troublesome that the people elect a civil court judge who ends up sitting and hearing criminal cases.
Now, now this is part I do know well. If anybody wants to become a judge, they need to have a certain amount of years in law as a practicing lawyer, and there are parties that are accepting people to run for judgeship.
I got a few.
FYI.
I got a few friends that are young
Absolutely.
law students and that, so I'll spread the word.
Absolutely,
Always need more judges and attorneys.
One thing I'm not to
Especially
stay on
for
that.
all the people that call in and complain on me and my show, my content. But that's all.
I'm not trying to pick on one particular way and how we can change the system because I believe
I'm Rush Limbaugh or something.
Yeah, I believe that there's a little bit of errors in everything.
Yeah, nobody's perfect.
Nobody's perfect, and but if we don't make these changes, nothing's gonna change.
Exactly.
So now,
imagine another 4 years of Biden.
Yeah. Huh.
Oh, we can't survive another 4 years of Biden.
Another term of Mayor Adams.
Or even it's not even Biden himself. It's just the policy.
Yeah, the policy.
The policy that and at this point, I don't think he's making a lot of decisions.
No,
I really don't think he's capable of a lot of decisions. So whether it's the Democratic Party policy or whoever's creating this policy, I personally feel it's not Joe Biden.
Obama.
We just cannot take another 4 years of this policy and this trend.
So one of the topics that we talked about on besides the bail reform was immigration.
Yes.
Anybody wants to throw in anything on that?
It's well, as a New Yorker, as you guys are, I see this firsthand daily in my neighborhood and going through the subway system and the buses and that. Since I don't have a car anymore, thanks Mayor Adams. But anyway, it gets me to walk more and lose weight and be more energy efficient with bicycles and stuff like that. So yeah, I see it firsthand. Let's get my mic here, make sure I'm good here. Okay, people can hear me. Yeah, so we see it firsthand, obviously. We see it in the news. We see it with the crime, the increase of crime. We got all these gangbangers coming in here and stuff like that. And more importantly, we feel it in our pocketbooks, because the increase, the lack of funding for our policemen. They're about to close Mount Sinai, Beth Israel, which is in my district, District 2, in the East Village, Lower East Side, and that is a key hospital for people, anyone south of 14th Street or south, especially south of 14th Street, Lower East Side, East Village, because if somebody has a heart attack, a stroke, my mother, a full respiratory failure, heart attack last year, she needed emergency assistance. She was clinically dead in my bedroom, my mother's, in my apartment, in her bedroom. She was clinically dead, and they had to rush her on life support to Mount Sinai. Now, if Mount Sinai was not there, and they had to transfer her to 28th Street or downtown, whatever, she would have been dead. She wouldn't have made it.
Well, I don't know if Mount Sinai is a public or a private hospital, but the key components that you're saying is the money is not being distributed the right way.
Because it's going to the migrants and giving them debit cards. They're giving them, I don't want to use the actual, but I'll just...
All right, everybody get the number off this card.
But yeah, we're giving them debit cards. We're giving them debit cards with $10,000 or more. They're kicking people out of housing. My partner, my girlfriend, fiance, her mother has been homeless and displaced for about 2 years now over a fire in her building in the Bronx. You might have heard of it. It was in the news and everything because of negligence conditions in that building. But her mother, that is disabled, with her younger brother, son, whatever, they don't have access to housing because all of a sudden the people down in shelters are secondary, the third, because they're putting people that are just coming in here off the street, off the buses and planes from wherever they came from. They're getting priority, and the city is putting them in apartments, in NYCHA, in Section 8, the lottery house, luxury buildings, whatever. They're just putting them anywhere. So anyone that's homeless, that's a New Yorker in their city, is secondary and third.
And I've seen that firsthand. So obviously, we know that's the situation, but the city has made it very.
And we have less cops now because of that.
The city has done its best to keep those things private, that information confidential.
No, it's public.
No. What I'm saying is there's a lot of things going on, but we don't know how exactly it's happening. We know they're getting priority in housing.
Yeah.
They're taking over hotels.
Everything.
We know that part, but there's still a lot of things that we're not intricately detailed on that they're.
There's a lot.
They're
Basically, you're saying that they're doing a lot more than we think.
Yes.
And they're using our tax dollars, hard-earned tax dollars.
Now, Pat, I know you have a lot of eyes and ears in different places. Is there any subject matters that revolving?
And they're also slashing funding for all the programs and social services.
I kind of see parallels between the bail reform, as I said earlier. Khalid Browder didn't belong in jail, so the answer was nobody belongs in jail. Now, for years, our immigration system in this country, you can say, has been broken. There's been a lot of issues with it. It took way too long for people who tried to come here the right way. And I think now the Democrats and the Democrat policy is much the same as they applied to the bail reform. Since the immigration system was broken, it was too hard for people to get here, we should just open up the border and let everybody in. Again, it's 180 degrees, an all-or-nothing approach. We needed a lot of reform. I personally know one individual. He's a DACA kid. We'll call him a DACA kid. Never registered, nothing. He was brought here at the age of a couple of months. He was like 4 months old. He was brought here from the Dominican Republic. Went back. He got tied up there. Came back at the age of 2. He just turned 18. He has no idea of his origins. He didn't even know his parents weren't actually his parents. And, our law didn't account for those things, okay? And that's been a big issue. And, again, just like Khalid Browder, it wasn't right for him to be in jail. It's not right for these kids to be caught in that position. But to turn around and say, the solution is just have no immigration policy at all and just let everybody in here, that's not the answer either.
Try going to another country and you see the process when you're just traveling somewhere. The whole process, they have you put aside, they check your phone, social media, they do a background check on you, the whole thing.
I was...
Try going to Mexico or Canada.
I'm booking a trip to Europe.
Okay.
And it's for 2025.
Okay.
I have an issue now because my passport is going to expire less than 6 months before.
Yeah.
Less than 6 months after. They have like crazy. If you're within 6 months of the expiration of your passport, they won't even allow you to come and visit. And here we are in this country with no border at all.
Good old USA.
So, just to be clear, we're talking about the border is literally open and people are just walking through.
Yeah.
It for all intent and purpose, yes, it is. From okay, what the White House says is one thing, what our Republican congressmen that have gone there say are another. But all we need to do is look at with our own eyes at what we're seeing on TV. And
I see them right across the street from where I live.
Based on the videos I've seen from various different outlets of the border, our border is wide open and people are walking across.
There's no immigration. There's no immigration enforcement at all.
And the reason I said it like that is because when I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of things that we can't visibly see. We know it's happening. The housing are increasing based off they're giving them priority to migrants. The prison system and the bail reform issues that are going on. They're getting pretty much free passes. You see them do a crime and then they're let out. From me, my personal view, when we talk about the subway system, I see women, predominantly women, selling candies with their children, working with them. Mm-hmm. And I find that incredibly wrong. I find that I'm weirded out. I'm freaked out. My heart is broken.
I feel like I'm in Mexico.
Yeah.
If we had
the subway system
if
like
we had
Mexico.
a kid working with their parents in on the stage on Broadway, if we try to put our kid in working in a supermarket, how much paperwork, how much issues we would have with ACS if we did something.
Yeah.
But they're allowing it.
And they're coming here. Supposedly, this is the best part of the all I love. These migrants are supposedly coming here. I'm poor, but then they don't even have a driver's license. And I see them with brand new cars, newer than the car I had last year. And I see them driving around Mercedes, BMWs, Bentleys, and all this stuff. And you just came here. Like you was just on the line for asking for assistance, being put up at Roosevelt Hotel or Midtown, whatever the hell. And you're here driving around in cars, and you got the scooters, and you're wearing better clothes than I'm wearing, or you're wearing.
Well, I can't speak about the cars, but, I saw this guy get, he wasn't happy with his accommodations at the shelter, and it's just recent. He fought with the cops and everything. I'm looking at his clothes, and I'm like, damn, you're wearing pretty good clothes.
He's wearing designer clothes.
Well, that's one of the things that struck me when the cops were assaulted in Times Square.
Yeah.
Those guys were wearing $200 T-shirts.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, what are these migrants? I don't know.
Maybe I'm in the wrong profession.
That's one of the things that really struck out to me was that these guys were wearing designer.
Yeah.
And I've seen these T-shirts for $200, and I say, who the hell is going to spend $200 on a T-shirt?
My
and
stuff's off the rack.
Here we are, the migrants,
Yeah. I don't know, maybe that's the new come up now.
Well, and with that being said,
let's all go after here. They're not asking for no IDs, and they're giving people debit cards in my neighborhood between $5,000 to $10,000. No. Let's go down right afterwards.
That's what I say. My retirement plan is to go to Mexico, throw away all my paperwork, and come back in.
It sounds good to me.
Well, I mean, and once again, I don't want anybody to think that we're picking on any particular thing. But I'm first generation. I know you're.
We're all immigrants.
We're
Italian, Cuban American, Hispanic.
And my background with my mother. When she came to this country, she came illegally, but she worked hard on trying to become a citizen. But the way the rules were, she wasn't able to.
My grandparents came here from Ellis Island,
And right there. And then, she did become a citizen. Eventually, she raised 2 children. I think I'm doing pretty good as an advocate for the community, and my sister became a lawyer. My point of saying all this is to say that there's the right way to do it, and then there's the wrong way.
We're not trying to sound racist or anything like that. This, like you said, is the right way, proper, going through the proper channels. If obviously we welcome New York, and the United States welcomes everybody because we are the United States of America. We're all different backgrounds, different races, religions, different countries, and that's what makes us unique and special, United States of America, But it's the proper way to do it, do the proper channels. Just like we mentioned earlier, you can't go to Europe to even vacation, to visit any of these other countries and just walk in the door, how you doing? Yep. So there has to be checks and balances, and we have to it starts at the federal level, and then it works our way down here. It's the opposite of what you said earlier, that it starts locally. Your local politics will affect you more than national, than a president. But as far as the immigration problem, it starts at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. And don't give me the bullshit that you need Congress. No. Just like Trump, when he was president, he did executive action. He didn't wait for Congress approval, the Senate, all that bullshit. He did it directly with executive action, just like whatever. And he got it done and closed the fucking borders and started building a wall and had ICE and immigration and the federal police officers, whatever, Homeland Security, whatever. They actually did their fucking job.
Right.
Well, to keep it local, more local politics.
Let them do their job.
Pat, I know you're going to Europe next year.
Yeah. And have a great time. Send us a postcard.
DJ Loudmouth, would you want to go to Chicago?
Yeah, sure.
Would you like a free trip to LA?
Yeah, I want to catch a Dodger game.
What about Miami?
Oh, the beach? Are you kidding me? This weather right now?
And I asked this because
some hot women out there.
Because Pat, well, you just mentioned you had a fiance.
I know. Keep it clean.
So
I don't need to get stabbed going home.
Pat, you had mentioned to me a while ago something about a new government agency helping migrants to leave the city.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, hook us up. Give us the plug.
No. There is. They started a government agency. Any immigrant that came to New York, this is a New York City thing. There's an agency in Brooklyn. They have an office.
Okay.
That
they have it in my neighborhood too. An office.
An immigrant that comes here that wants to go somewhere else in the country, that New York City will buy them a plane ticket anywhere. And I don't know how many people this office is staffed by, or how much it's costing the taxpayers of New York City. But at that point, after being open for like 6 months, 35 people had taken advantage of getting an airline ticket out of here, 35 of the migrants. And I'm thinking to myself, we've probably spent several $100,000 staffing this office for what? It's just another tremendous bureaucratic waste.
The city of New York is, and also the state of New York and I guess other municipalities or whatever are giving people a free trips to anywhere they want.
Absolutely.
A travel agency.
And
amazing.
Let's put this in a little bit
book
perspective.
Our tickets now. Where you want to go? You want to catch a Dodger game this weekend?
Let's make sure we put this in perspective because once again, we're not picking on anything in particular. This is a legitimate New York City agency.
Yeah.
After Pat had mentioned that, I looked up some videos, and one particular one, Savannah Hernandez at SAV _ says _ she went to the offices to try to get information for them, and she got the picket line, the flyers of all this going on, and I'm like, holy, damn, this is really going on. And then I did a little bit more research. When with the influx of immigrants, the city's best opportunity is to get them out of here because it's so expensive. Where to put them? Mm-hmm. So in my mind, I'm thinking
they got 30 days now.
Yeah, in my mind, I'm thinking I know upstate they were trying to use city vouchers to put people up there.
Okay.
And then if they're paying for tickets for people to leave, are we covering the cost for them to stay out there as well? Because one thing is getting them out of here.
Yeah.
Right.
But are we funding them over there as well?
So that's a very interesting question.
That's something that I wasn't able to get the information on, but that's one of my research opportunities that I'm working on. Once again, imagine seeing the city's paying for people to leave and funding them continuously. That boggles my mind, where we have people struggling to eat, people struggling to pay their light bills, and some people getting their car repossessed, it's hard times.
Yeah.
And yet and once
families are literally homeless.
We are
and waiting years and decades on a waiting list.
We are children.
And they will die before they get an apartment.
We are children of immigrants. And there's no animosity towards it, but there has to be some, if we take this bottle and we fill the water up past it, we have to say there's a limit.
Yeah.
For me, protecting,
this is an overspill.
So I'm going to ask you guys, direct question. What would you like to see happen?
Well, in New York City, quite frankly, if there was somebody in power or common sense in the city council, and there's a silent minority already there. They don't have enough votes yet, but we need to completely repeal and remove the sanctuary city status that New York City has. And that will eliminate these problems that people know not to come here because you're not welcome here unless you come here the legal way, the legal channels. And that will unleash billions and billions of dollars of taxpayers' money so we can hire more police officers. We could put 10,000 minimum new cops on the streets, on the subways to keep us safe. Okay, it will reopen or keep open hospitals that are desperately needed in one of the poorest communities in New York City, like District 2, which is Mount Sinai and Beth Israel. To keep that open, Our firemen, we need to open up more community centers, more free health care for New York City residents that work here, low income. Provide more real affordable housing. None of that.
Well, let's keep to immigration at the moment.
Yeah, but by unleashing
influx,
unleashing those billions of dollars that we're wasting here, putting people up in hotels and giving them up to $10,000 a month and giving them free trips to go see the Dodgers, to go to Miami Beach and have a good time on our dime, and driving $100,000 cars. We could spend that. Charity begins at home. In general, if you got billions of dollars to send overseas to Ukraine, if you got billions of dollars to rebuild schools and hospitals in Iraq, Afghanistan, Israel, Palestine, whatever, blah, 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 it doesn't matter. Charity begins at home and begins right here in our communities, whether you're in the South Bronx, Queens, Brooklyn, even the East Village, Lower East Side of Manhattan. Charity begins at home.
So now we got your point of view, Pat. What would you like to see some change in the immigration policy?
Well, first and foremost, we need to close the border.
Close it
need
completely.
I would say at the point, yes, we need to completely close the border. Just as I advocated after 9/11, we really should have closed the country at least for a little while to figure out who was here. I mean, right now we're at a point we don't know. There's millions of people in this country that we don't know who they are or what their intentions are. So, I mean, first and foremost, I think we need to temporarily close all immigration into the United States. We need to stop and take a deep breath and do an accounting of who we have here, what's going on. After that, I'd say anybody who is here as a migrant, refugee, whatever you want to call these people, anyone who has committed any crime since they've been here should immediately be put on a plane and sent back to where they came from. Okay? Because you came across that border saying you were coming here for a better life. And if you came here and your idea of a better life is destroying everybody else who's here's life, well, then you don't deserve to be here. So immediately they
and
should
it's
all
not
be
a better
sent
life
back.
if they're sleeping in our subways or, sleeping on the streets. Yeah, that's not a better life to me.
And that's where I think we need to start. There needs to be, and Donald Trump has said this already, a mass deportation.
Yep.
Because quite honestly, a lot of these people, as I stated earlier, came like the Murillo boat flotilla, Freedom Flotilla it was called. They were mentally ill people. They were criminally
they're gangs,
ill people,
MS-13,
gang members
all that
and all. So, we need to start by getting those people out of here. They don't need hearings. They don't need anything. They need to be sent back. The group that was caught in the Bronx, the 8 individuals with illegal guns, ghost guns, fentanyl, they were released the next day.
The next
day they were
Is that the one
literally
that some
released.
Christian or church organization put up the $10,000 bond or something like that?
That part, no.
It was one of them.
I don't believe. But the great thing there was it got so much media attention. Homeland Security saw it, and the day after they were released, Homeland Security raided the house. And to boot, they were squatting in the house.
Yep.
The owner had been trying to take back possession of the house from these people. Now, they're still here in this country. They're still going to be given a hearing. I say they don't get a hearing.
No.
They get put on a plane
That's
and
it.
sent right back to wherever they came from. And if you can't prove where you came from, well, then
Good luck.
Good luck. Good luck. You know,
we'll find some place to drop you.
You know me, guys. I'm a little bit idealistic when I bring up these conversations, and I don't think that we can actually change to the level that you guys want until we revamp our whole our politicians. We have to vote them out to make and put new people in before we can get to that level. But at a minimum, what I would want is just for the laws to be followed. At a bare minimum, somebody commits a crime, they're illegal, get them, kick them out. We have border entries and we have asylum entry points and stuff like that. Obviously there's always going to be a funneled amount that are going to come in. But, in the past, we've had, once again, immigration since, since we started this country.
Yeah.
That's the basis of it.
Yeah.
We're an immigrant nation.
We're an immigrant nation. I wrote an article about this regarding the Columbus and Indigenous People Day. How can we and I don't want to be negative when I say it, but hypocritical in saying we don't want other people to come in here when, and that's the biggest fight that we have with the other side, with the, with the far left. And then the far right wants, close the border, kick everybody out.
Yeah.
And that balance is what I've been trying to
We
figure
wouldn't
out.
have all the wonderful cultural things that we have in our city and around our country wasn't for immigrants.
And in my position in for the work,
they're a key vital thing, but it has to be regulated, it has to be controlled. And
Common sense again.
There's
sense. Those words, common sense.
Conservative common sense.
Moderate conservative.
Okay.
But going back to what we started the conversation on, and you made some great points, and I want to reflect on it because the issue with the money and this administration for New York City,
It's been nothing but waste.
yeah. Well, there 1 minute we saying the comps once the budget was done, I think there was going to be a 20% budget cut across the board, and then all of a sudden they made sure the police and then the firefighter didn't get any cuts. They were exempt, and then now
But they're still understaffed.
yes, and then all of a sudden now the situation with the parents and the pre-K coming up. All of a sudden, the $500 million is going to be found somewhere. This is continuously happening. Either we have the money, we don't have the money.
There's no fiscal responsibility. There's no watchdog. There's nobody overseeing that. Just write a check. There you go. Write a check.
And at some point, if we regulated the money the right way, then we could say those needs and special needs that you were talking about earlier can get their priority.
Yeah.
But the worst part.
We got to safeguard and protect public housing.
Yes. The worst part is when we fight
and
for
all
it.
housing, affordable housing.
When we fight for it and then it shows up, that shows the power of the people. So, where to go from there?
Let's take a quick break right now. We'll be back more with Chairman Patrick McManus, DJ Loudmouth, and Gonzalo Duran. You're listening to The Situation Room, an eye on New York City politics and beyond, and all streaming platforms on Who's Next NYC FM radio and WPAT 930 on your AM dial, tri-state area. Be right back.
Suffered a nightmare tonight.
I think this is how my story ends.
Roman Reigns has done it again.
This is the story of legacy.
Look at the power of Belair.
I got the EST story.
And it might be. Ladies and women.
I'll rip the pages out of your story.
The irresistible force meeting the immovable object. My story started at the very beginning, brother.
My story's full of ass whooping. Austin doing what he does best.
I'll end yours.
finished.
Rated T for teen.
The following is not sponsored or endorsed by Gonzalo Duran. New Yorkers sure have been through a lot over the past few years, but through crisis comes hope, leadership, and heroes. Today we honor those heroes who were there for us when we needed them the most. One such hero is a decorated veteran who tirelessly fights for his country, city, and community. Sergeant Gonzalo Duran, a Marine's commitment never ends. Let's elect someone who will defend and honor all New Yorkers and put America first. Today begins New York's comeback story. Let's elect someone that will bring true leadership, who has served his country, city, and community for over 20 years. And that person is Gonzalo Duran. Let's elect him to Congress, New York District 15 in 2024. For more information about Gonzalo Duran and his campaign, please visit his website at www.gonzaloduran.nyc. That's www.gonzaloduran.nyc. This ad is brought to you by Friends to Elect Gonzalo Duran for U.S. Congress and are not sponsored or endorsed by Gonzalo Duran or his committee.
The more that a broken system tells you that you're wrong, the more certain you should be that you must keep pushing ahead. Because it's the outsiders who change the world and who make a real and lasting difference. Nothing worth doing ever came easy. Treat the word impossible as nothing more than motivation. The future belongs to the people who follow their heart no matter what the critics say. We must always remember that we share one home and one glorious destiny. We all bleed the same red blood of patriots. We all salute the same great American flag. Our best days are yet to come.
So, welcome back, everyone. And, so far we've talked about a lot of conservatism, but, we have the Conservative Party chairman for the Bronx. And, please tell us what's going on in the Bronx.
Well, in the Bronx, recently, thanks in big part to Gonzalo, we've seen a big expansion in the party. Our enrollment is up, it's over 10% now in the last year. I think, Gonzalo, you may have a more exact number.
Just over 15%.
Just over 15, yeah. So we're getting people to notice the party, and I think that's what it's all about. In that respect, Gonzalo and I set a goal this election season to fill every ballot spot in this election cycle. There were 21 offices up for election in the Bronx. I think at this point we've managed to fill 19 of them. I think 19 have survived. We had 20. It looks like we may lose one candidate. And that's been a big focus of the party. We need to challenge the Democrats. And we need to do it with common sense candidates. We don't want to just put candidates on just to put them up. I think we have we filled our slate with common sense candidates from, we have majority conservatives on the ticket, several Republicans, and we even have one Democrat.
Wow. Okay.
Yes.
Well, you might be adding one or two more Democrats within the next 12 months, maybe.
We're looking forward to that, Jason.
We might have to. I like this conservative party movement. It reminds me of the Boston Tea Party, a couple hundred years ago. We may have to expand this south of Yankee Stadium, and we might have to have this in Manhattan.
Hopefully the next revolution or civil war is going to be at the ballot box.
Yeah.
And not in the streets.
And it might be sooner than you think.
This is where I want to see it happen. I want to see it happen at the ballot box.
And Trump said, not to go back to him, but he did say that he's making a run for New York City. So
yes, well, I hope so. I think it is doable. People are fed up.
Democrats for Trump. Just putting it out there. Follow me on the gram, DJ Loudmouth Official. DJ Loudmouth Official, Twitter, Real Big Time J.
When will the hats and shirts be ready?
Soon.
Well, just to break down...
Maybe Democrats for DJ Loudmouth, who knows?
Just to break it down a little bit more, we did have 21 open positions.
Yeah.
That includes Congressional, Senate, and the State Assembly.
And you got them all filled.
And we have a majority of filled.
Yeah.
Right now we have 19, and it's only less than a handful of Republicans that are on our slate. And then we do have Democrat, and our numbers are up, and we're in the South Bronx.
Yeah,
a large number of those that came in
former Democrats.
Were either former Democrats, Republicans, very few Republicans, and then a very few that were
independent?
That were blank.
Oh, blank. Nobody. Okay.
They either didn't register.
Unaffiliated.
Yeah.
And to do part, I know you guys have mentioned that the common sense and everything, but to be honest, these are just people that, I was in the ground on the boots type of level with these people, and they just were sick and tired of what was going on.
Yeah.
So so in those numbers and these people, that we got on the ballot, they're regular folks. They're Amazon workers. They're retired citizens. They're local nonprofit leaders and stuff like that. So
maybe a Loudmouth.
And maybe a Loudmouth soon.
Maybe a superstar Latina female recording artist.
Now, Pat, is there any particular ones that you want to talk about that are candidates?
Yeah.
Well, the Democrat, our Democratic candidate is a very interesting one. It's Irene Estrada. She is the former 80th female assembly district leader in the Democratic Party. She's a pastor. Both of her daughters are NYPD officers.
Okay. Shout out to NYPD.
Absolutely, absolutely. And she has seen that the party has gone way too far left, and she has seen the policies that are adversely affecting us. And it's interesting. She's actually running against. I keep getting the name wrong.
Jamal Bailey?
Jamal Bailey.
Yeah, Jamal Bailey.
Okay.
Okay. He is the chairman of the Bronx County Democratic Party, of which she was a former district leader.
Wow.
And she's become that disenchanted with the policies of the Democratic Party that she was even willing to step up and challenge him by taking the conservative line.
And that's not an easy thing. I mean,
and technically, when I was on Board of Elections, when I was younger, I was district leader of my district, and I was the chairperson of my district as well.
Yeah, but
which
now,
was unpaid position, but.
But imagine now going against your party chairman.
Yeah, that's
that's
real gangster. That's
it takes a lot of courage.
Yeah, a lot of cojones. Keep it clean.
I give her
FCC, don't find me.
I give her as well as all of the candidates a lot of props for stepping up. It's not an easy thing to do. I speak from experience.
Yeah.
As I said earlier, in 2020, I got off the couch and I stepped out. And the first thing I did run against Jamal Bowman.
Okay. Oh wow.
Firefighter man, right?
Yeah. The ironic, and that was my first foray into the politics, and that was before the chairman passed.
Yeah.
And I know what it takes to stand up and be a candidate, and we all need to tip our hats to
I
these
literally know what you're saying because I was a professional wrestler, and I started backyard underground, but I did it the right way. So I know firsthand. I was a former athlete and everything, sports and all that, and I literally know what it means to step in the ring, and you
put your
you
neck on there, right?
You got to get in there and take the blows, take the hits, and you got to keep going. But if you come out on top with the championship, that's what it's about.
And to be specific, when we went out to try to find these candidates, a lot of individuals, didn't understand the system. So, we took the time to break it down to them. Irene is one of the few people that already knew the system, already has a background, and like Pat said, she was she's disenchanted with the way her party's going, and I'm not trying to say this to every conservative party that in the boroughs, but for the Bronx Democratic Party, we've done our best to keep it inclusive for everyone. We've given everybody an opportunity to get their voices heard, get on the ballot. She wasn't she wasn't just said, just because she's a Democrat, we're gonna let her walk in and do this. We vented her, and we had our processes, and then I'm glad she made it in. She's actually one of the people that I asked to step up, and Pat, this is not the only person that you have. You have the New York Post posted somebody who said who's a Republican going against the Speaker of the House.
Yes, Stephanie Liggio in the she's running the 83rd Assembly District against Carl Hasty, and we all know his recent comments. He doesn't think shoplifters should get harsher penalties because it's not going to change their ways. He doesn't believe in punishment for crime. Okay. Basically, is what he said.
Okay.
And we're trying to field again those words: common sense.
Yeah, and law and order.
Common sense.
And fiscal responsibility.
Absolutely. And
I sound like Ronald Reagan, but yeah.
All of our candidates from congressional. We have Gonzalo here.
Yeah,
Gonzalo has stepped up, and he's running against Richie Torres in what is, I don't know if Jason, I don't know if you're aware, and most of your listeners, the 15th congressional district is the poorest congressional district in the United States.
And the highest crime.
In the entire country.
Repeatedly.
Yeah.
And this has been for years. So you need to ask, what is Richie Torres doing? How many terms is he in now?
Yeah.
He's in his second.
I want to say second or third.
Second or third term.
He's making sure
he's
that
still rated. He's still rated last in the country.
Well, I mean,
I think it's time for a change there.
He makes sure that Israel's great again, but the Bronx is yet to be great again by stretch, except for the Yankees.
We do have to give some props to Richie. I mean.
No, we don't. No.
The thing.
What are you doing with City Council? He was in charge of the housing committee overseeing NYCHA. Okay, how well did he do there?
He was in control of the poorest.
I know that firsthand.
He was in control of the poorest city council district.
Yeah.
He's currently in control of the poorest city congressional district. I mean, if he continues in this, he might be controlling the poorest nation in the country as well.
No. Let's not go there.
But if we keep on letting people like him continue to run, that's the thing
that's why they have to have term limits in Congress.
And Richie's main platform, it's identity politics.
Yeah.
Okay, because of my lifestyle, I deserve to be elected, is basically his platform. We need to get away from that.
And in his job capacity, and this is me from first experience, I've been in his city council district, and I've been in his congressional district my whole life. He's doing the bare minimum. He's doing what he needs to do just to slide by.
So doesn't most Democrats do that?
And I'm not going to disagree with that, but
most politicians.
To
be fair,
let's keep it 100.
Most electeds.
But Biden has taken a lot of vacations.
But the reason and the key factor is because they feel so complacent in their position.
Because they know they're going to get reelected.
Nobody's going to run against them. And this is where I'm going to turn it back on you, Pat, because, in certain circles, you're called the magic man for the things that you've been able to do. I'm hoping you're able to do this again. I'm hoping you'll be able to do it again this year.
Send a Marine to Congress.
But now you're attacking the Speaker of the House and you're attacking the Democratic chairman. I mean, do you see any issues with that coming up in the future?
I'm willing to deal with anything that comes my way. There's a lot of there's a lot of talk of the uniparty. I don't know if you've heard of this, that, the deals are being made. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid as chairman of the party to stand up and bring these fights. If repercussions are going to come, they're going to come, and we're going to deal with it. And as long as I have good people around me and behind me, which is, it wasn't me. It wasn't me that have made these changes. It's been us.
Exactly.
And without Gonzalo and without a few others behind the scenes, the party would have died. And I really, really appreciate the work Gonzalo's put in, as well as others.
Well, I don't want to blush on air or on the screen, so I'll keep a focus on one really important factor that we need to focus on. Funding for parties.
Well, this is where we've had quite a shortfalling. We've found it very difficult to raise money. We're having a small event on the 27th, April 27th. We're having a luncheon to honor not only the candidates that stepped up, but those who who went out and got the petitions to get these people on the ballot in November. And if you want to read off the event, Gonzalo, I would appreciate that.
Yes.
And maybe we could raise a little money that way.
The Bronx County Conservative Party has a thank you luncheon for candidates and volunteers this Saturday coming up. No, not this Saturday, April 27th. Saturday, April 27th at 1 p.m. at the Walnut bus stop at 881 East 134th Street in the Bronx, New York. The candidates and the volunteers will be covered, and it's an open invitation to the public. We ask for a $25 donation. There's going to be music, raffle prizes, and a good lunch. If you have any questions, you can reach out to Zenobia Bolia at zmb8613@gmail.com or call her at 516-900-2898. Well, with that being said, we know that there's going to be some challenges across the board. Is there anything that you want the people know, the candidates, anybody else, anything you want to throw out there specifically?
Difficult one, Gonzalo.
I would say that's difficult after all the stuff we talked about today.
I know.
I could throw some stuff out there. Maybe the voters.
This is not sure what you're looking for, Gonzalo.
We need to thank the.
We're just
voters.
looking for a $1 billion war chest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we could get on the ballot in all 50 states.
If
that's all.
The one, all the work that we're doing in the end of the day is not going to mean nothing unless the people come out and vote in November.
Yes. Well, that's. Thank you for saying that, Gonzalo. That is the key thing. We're all fed up. We're all sick and tired, and we all need to get out and vote.
November 5th. November 5th. Don't forget that. The 5th of November. Besides that situation, the reason I bring up funding is because as a party and as candidates, we need the funding to get on media, get our platforms out there, get pamphlets. I mean, you've been doing this for quite a bit, Pat. A rough estimate. This situation that we're doing right now, it's $25 donation to the public. Is that going to cover all the expenses? No. But it would alleviate situations where, let's say, the paperwork for the petitioning, pamphlets and waters for volunteers, snacks for them, engagements so that we can get, like this venue that we have right now, it's a local restaurant, but maybe we want to get something more in the bigger mindset to bring in.
Eventually we want to get there, but another good thing about this event on the 27th, we're supporting a small local business. We're not, it's not a big corporate thing, and that's part of our mission too, as I see it. We need to support the local communities and the local businesses.
Support small business.
And the Conservative Party itself, and the ideologies of the Conservative Party has always been to be fiscal responsible.
Absolutely.
And trying to increase the abilities of what DJ Loudmouth was talking about earlier was how the funds are being misappropriated to different sections, and if it was proportionated back into where we need it, a lot of these problems wouldn't happen. And the Bronx Conservative Party, we're one of the smallest party, based off enrollment.
Right.
But as we increase our percent, you would think as we increase our party, the percentages would be lower. But no, if you look at our statistics the last 2 elections, we've kept a good percentage. Like this special election for the 77th Assembly, we had, I believe, over, on top of my head, I think it was over 39% voter turnout for the Conservative Party. Whereas the Democrat and the Republican both had less than 5% each.
Yes.
Right there, that shows the possibility of if we just had the numbers, we would have won. And you continue that factor. I look at having these numbers, these 19 candidates, as test runs to see where we're that percentage, factor in the
because
future.
afterwards you definitely get all the analytics and statistics, and definitely.
Absolutely, that's one of the big problems, as Gonzalo and I discussed. You can't gauge a candidate's popularity when they're unopposed, because they're the only choice. Okay, and this is what's been going on. So we decided to get an idea of where the people's heads are. We need to just put a candidate in there and get somebody in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe we're going to see, Gonzalo mentioned the 77 special election, city council election last year in the 13th district where we won. We had, 92% turnout on our line?
Yeah, just over 92%.
Wow. 92%?
92% turnout.
We have 877 registered conservatives in the district.
Okay.
We received just about 800 votes on the line.
Wow.
So,
man, I don't want to curse, but damn, even Democrats or Republicans don't get that turnout for a lot of local elections.
That's historical turnout.
Yeah.
Well, Pat is still lowballing at the situation.
Is this the one that Christie won?
That's what I was going to bring up.
Yeah.
So that was a deciding factor for having the first Republican elected into the Bronx office in
decades.
40 years.
Yeah, 40 years. Wow.
Yeah, she won by 700 and low 700 votes.
Yeah.
And 800 votes came off the conservative line. Ooh. So if you took those away, we would not have a Republican city councilwoman.
And then this conversation would have been always, it might happen one day. But right now, we have visible proof, statistics on how to get it done. We just have to replicate it. And, a lot of people have come to me and try to speak, and they're like, well, we have Christie, but it's one wolf among a room full of lions. We need to get more people in there.
I think it's 51 city council, I think 5 Republican.
Yeah, 51
46 Democrat. And then you have the common sense call, because there are some there's that word again.
Conservative common sense.
Well, I like that. I like that, Jason.
Yeah.
But, common sense most of all.
We need more Ronald Reagan politicians, city council.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And a little MAGA too. A little MAGA.
Doesn't hurt.
And a little bit of Obama, too. A little bit of Obama because of the popularity, the superstar level. You imagine that, just quickly here, since we're audio right now. Just imagine, you had, when Obama came out of nowhere, in 2006 or whatever it was, 2005, he got his big break by speaking in the Democratic National Convention.
Yep.
And that he was... he was an attorney. Obviously, everything he started here, going to college, NYU, the whole thing. But he became a junior senator out of nowhere in Chicago, all right? And that being on that national stage at the convention led his ascent. And he went up against an established, long-term, not only served our country, but a long-term career politician who normally would have easily won a presidency, which I'm talking about the late, great John McCain, okay? And Barack Obama superstardom, when he ran for president the first time, he obviously got elected 2008, when he announced 2006, 2 years before, whatever it was. But Like, how does someone like that, who just started in politics 2-3 years before, ascend out of nowhere to become president of the United States and beat a career politician, an accomplished politician such as John McCain?
I think that question is directed towards you, Pat.
Yeah, well, it has to do with, as I said earlier, politics has become a popularity contest.
They were trying to get The Rock to run. He might run one day.
The least important factor to most voters these days
in this generation,
is policy. They don't care about the policy. They only look at the popularity. I always say, Barack Obama was probably the greatest snake oil salesman in the history of America.
Yeah,
I liken him to one of those guys that used to ride
I did
around
vote for
the
him,
Wild West.
but yeah.
And, got you to buy stuff that you really you didn't need, and it didn't work.
Regarding his part, I would say that what I expected to come out from that those terms, I didn't see it happen. And and then we're seeing the after effect of it.
Yeah.
But to circle back on a little bit of what we were talking about
locally,
we just finished talking about Christie and her ascension, and then you mentioned how can we get somebody. Imagine if we had the first conservative in legislative office. I think it's been decades since something.
I think it's maybe since in New York State politics, 1962.
Yeah. And I don't think there's ever been a congressional.
Or shortly thereafter.
But that's something that I would like to see.
I would love to see that.
I imagine the outpour and how crazy it would be.
Make sure the mic is next to you. Put it, yeah.
With that being said, I imagine seeing how that outcome would be. We just had our first Republican 1 year in over 40 years, and then you have our first conservative, and even
we got DJ Loudmouth on the ticket next year. District
wait,
2.
Wait, are we announcing it? We're announcing that here on the live on the air.
Well,
first we're going to register him conservative, then we're going to put him on the city council.
Well, if you're going to go big, go home, right?
If you're going to do it, like I told you before we had conversations, I only do things if I'm going to win or be in a position to win. So I mean, if I'm called to public service, I will step up and I will serve my 4 or 8 years or 12 years, wherever it be, if needed.
Well, you haven't run yet, and that's a prime example of what I want the listeners to hear. You have an opportunity to get it, and I can assure you, and me particularly, I can pledge to do everything I can to get you on the ballot. And it's not going to be hard, because if you put the work into it, it's going to happen. Now the problem is everything that's going to come out from it is, are you ready? And I don't want to say that you're not ready, not you specific. I'm saying people in general. Yeah. Because when you're going into politics, and I know Pat's going to, I'm going to ask you to jump on this right after. You have to think about. It's going to be like a third job.
Yeah.
It's like your third job. You're going to have to be on call. You're going to have to be ready to do stuff. You're going to have to invest money, your time, even your mentality in some points. Yeah. Because you're aiming for an objective, and everything in the system's against you.
Well, I get to still DJ on the weekends?
Yes, you can.
Come on the radio?
Yeah, you can.
Okay. Now, we'll throw parties at City Hall and Gracie Mansion.
Now, since I'm being optimistic because I'm running this year, Pat, I mean, could you throw your 2 cents on, let's say, somebody, what they have to start?
The process.
The process.
Yeah.
Not only starting the process, but like what their mentality has to be, their situation, before they say, I'm going to take that next step.
Well, you got to be dedicated, because during campaigning, your life is not your own. You have to you have to be ready to run at any time. And that's one of the biggest issues that a lot of candidates find. You need to be in 3 places at one time.
Yeah, I already experienced that now. Yeah. So, like, do I ever sleep?
Just as a candidate, that's multiple.
Well, not just but you also have assistants too, and deputies, and constituents.
Well, that's once
and
you're
aides.
elected.
Yeah.
But to get there, the work that has to be put in.
I want to get some of those vacations at Biden get. And enjoy some ice cream, chocolate chip ice cream with you guys.
See, but that's the good thing that people see. There's also the bad thing.
Yeah, when you have to make those tough calls and and stuff like
because
that.
Nobody's gonna love you when you're in office.
Yeah.
Not everybody's gonna love you.
No, of course not.
You're gonna have people that are opposing you. Imagine walking into.
Sometimes you gotta veto a bill, or
Like imagine walking into right now a debate with Israel and the Palestinians.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Because I'm for both sides.
But I mean, either way, if in the position, you have to think. Even if you get elected into office, your counterparts,
exactly,
where their mentality, where they are, where their votes are going to, and if you oppose that, I mean, it shouldn't be any conflict, because you're always thinking about what your constituents want.
Yeah.
But then you have to worry about lobbyists and the bureaucracy of everything going on. When I'm running for office, if people don't know, I'm running for the congressional 15th against Richie Torres. This is my second official candidacy. I've run in the past, but this is the first time, or the second time I made the ballot. And I've worked very hard over the year to.
Yes, you have.
Yeah, specifically last year to get in position to run for Congress, and that wouldn't have happened if the work wasn't put in. But now my mentality is, now that the ballot is done, now what's the next step? Getting the votes into that perspective. And for me, this is not going to be my third job. It's going to be my eighth job, because I put in the work on journalism, television, nonprofit work, politician,
radio,
and television, and radio and television host, all to bring into a circle one particular thing with one particular goal, getting into office. Now, whether I achieve that or not, my mentality is, even if I lose, I'm winning, because my popularity with the people is growing, my diplomacy is growing, even my candor, my speaking, everything is growing. I'm at a point where in my own neighborhood, I'm getting stopped with people recognizing me now. Not just for the politics, not for the nonprofit work, but for the politics part.
Yeah.
And then that, and I'm not trying to be self-absorbed when I say this. When I say it, is because now it makes the politicians
have a certain level of respect for you.
Well, I don't want to say that, and they should. Period. They should.
Yeah.
But it's more so that they know that somebody's coming up.
Exactly.
And without them being their puppet, without them controlling me,
paper pusher.
I'm doing it on the side.
Yeah.
And they're hearing all these voices. Hey, do you know this guy is doing this in your neighborhood? And you're not involved. Like, what's going on, bro?
Yeah, right.
So
I've been doing. So I don't mean to cut you off, but I've been doing back to school events and different things for many years with Veronica Gonzalez, Rail G. Shout out to her, and myself. And most of the time, nobody bothered us or anything. We just do it, and we do stuff year round. When we was getting that stimulus money and unemployment, $800,000 a week, I will go outside to see someone. Obviously you could tell the difference if someone is a drug addict and it's like someone's generally homeless, So I will go I'll go around my neighborhood, and I will give people like $20 bills each, whatever. I got so much money. I just I even gave $100 bill a couple times.
I'm waiting for some.
Yeah.
I mean,
where was I?
And we gave out we spent thousands of dollars on school supplies, book bags, a cookout, the whole nine, everything. And our councilwoman didn't help us at all, but she came for a photo op or whatever. And of course, it happened to be we had New York One, whatever. But even without that, we don't do stuff for publicity or the cameras. We just do it to give back. And Devil Dog USA is a proud example of that. Our Conservative Party, Patrick McManus, you just give back, and you do it year round.
Well, that personal statement that you made, and I want to emphasize on it if you don't mind.
Yeah. And then the cops came and shut us down a couple years later, giving out haircuts and everything, because the tenant association was jealous that we have more people in our area in the projects than they had in theirs.
That scenario, that story right there, is the reason why so many people run for office.
Yeah.
So that being said, you just hit a few of the key points.
Yeah.
Somebody might want to have a sign, like a stop sign in their local school, and that causes them to increase the ability to run for office.
Yeah, people like us, we're not running for us, personal agendas, motives. We're running for you. The voice of the voiceless.
So, now that we're coming towards an end of the show, maybe there's a little bit of what everybody wants to throw out there.
Okay.
DJ Loudmouth, come on. What's something that you haven't touched on that you want to get out of there?
What, political or non-political?
Yeah, political. Let's leave it a political show.
All right, what do you think of the Yankees?
I love the Yankees.
What do you think of Juan Soto's acquisition? Are you a baseball fan?
Not at all.
Okay.
Especially not a Yankee fan.
If you don't mind, just finishing off with something political.
Okay.
I mean, do you want to say something political that's in your heart that you haven't get out there? This is that moment.
Well, just briefly, it's time for a change. It's time for a new voice, whether that's conservative, Republican, Democrat. It's time for the next generation to step up. I appreciate Trump. I appreciate Biden. But we should not have two 80-year-olds running for president of the United States. It even comes down to local elections, nepotism and all that stuff. People in generations holding on to power and then passing it down, to their sons, their daughters, whatever. So overall, from local all the way to city, state, federal, it's time for a new generation of Republicans, of conservatives, of Democrats in general, to be in office. And we especially need a conservative voice, a common sense, as Patrick said many times here, common sense, fiscal responsible, make sure that all the money that we have are hard-earned tax dollars, people that are working, all those tax dollars, it goes to our communities first. We have the poorest infrastructure in this whole country. I like doing road trips when I had a car or even when I rented cars. I love traveling. I could fly a plane and that, but I love traveling on the roads. And I drove all up and down this country, and I saw the poor conditions. Upstate New York, we're supposed to have all this money. Where's all these billions and trillions of dollars from the lottery and these casinos that they're opening up all upstate New York and they want to do up here in New York City? I don't see it in the roads. I don't see it in our education system. They just started giving kids computers a couple years ago, laptops because of remote learning, because of COVID or whatever. But where's the money at? Like, where's Waldo? Where's the money at? And, so we need to rebuild our infrastructures in New York City. You drive the highways here, the roads in New York City, to go to the Bronx, go to the FDR Drive. You see the poor conditions, from that, of course, the crime, the economy. Tell me out there, listeners, how's Bidenomics working out for you? You could compare Trump's presidency and Biden's presidency back to back, side by side, okay? And tell me which economy was better. What was your prices on your grocery bill, your rent, your electricity? How much do you spend in the pump now? And all that compared when Trump was in office pre-COVID. Because obviously if the pandemic didn't happen, Trump would have had 2 terms. This would have been his last term. Yeah. So, that and, there's so much more. The immigration problem has to be dealt with and corrected. We have to stop wasting billions of dollars of New York City, money. We need to refund. People talking about, this is a hot topic right here. People are talking about defunding the police. How about we refund the police and put thousands of more police officers on the streets? Let's save hospitals. Let's have more community centers for the youth to keep them out of the streets and getting into crime. Let's protect our elderly, protect housing, especially public housing, because they want to dismantle public housing and all that. And let's make New York City great again. There you go.
Right there, that's like a whole campaign.
There you go.
Platforms in all one shot.
There you go. Bam.
I'm gonna keep it simple.
Go ahead. Your turn.
If you guys are tired of the way things are going, do something about it. If you guys want, if you're in the Bronx or if you're in New York City, I'll be happy to stop by and drop off a voter registration for you and get you inside our party or give you some information on how you can get into the ballot. And if you want, at Gonzalo Duran NYC. Check out my website at www.gonzaloduran.nyc. And email at gonzalodurannYC@gmail.com. And, if you want change, if you're tired of it, then do something about it. I'll leave it at that.
Either do something about it or keep your mouth shut.
What about you, Pat? What would you like to get out there?
Well, the last thing I want to put out that we haven't touched on is I think part of the problem in our political world today is there's a term, and I find myself using it sometimes, our elected leaders, okay? We do not elect people to government positions to be leaders. They're elected to represent us.
Exactly.
And we've forgotten that we are supposed to tell the government what the answer is. The government is not supposed to tell us what the answer is. And we need to start educating people, and we need to bring back that mentality. Public service is meant to be public service. It's not meant to tell the people what to do.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not elected leaders, they're elected representatives.
We the people.
Absolutely. And we need to get back to that.
And protect and defend our Constitution.
And I also want to thank you guys for having me here on your inaugural show.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
It was my honor to be here.
Next time, bring some steaks and cigars and nice. Chardonnay,
Nice.
Or Jack Daniels. I'm a Jack Daniels person,
Well, once again, Pat, thank you for coming.
Yeah,
we enjoyed it. Having the chairman of the party
we gotta
to
keep
be
doing it.
Our inaugural episode and starting this off. We look forward to having more opportunities like this.
A shout out to our sponsors, McDonald's, Honda, State Farm, and WWE. Thank you. And definitely you could check us out weekly, 24/7 on iHeartRadio.com, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast, Speaker, the whole thing. We're everywhere like your favorite sneaker. And, of course, you could hear us weekly on the New York City, New York, Tri-State Area Radio, WPAT 930, on your AM dial affiliate AM FM stations, and, of course, 24/7 at Who's Next NYC FM Radio, WhosNextNYCRadio.com, exclusively on TuneIn Radio, the TuneIn app, worldwide, all platforms, devices, even on your phone, in your cars as well, just like Sirius XM. Who's Next NYC FM, worldwide, 24/7, and you will hear, just like this program, the Situation Room, you will hear what New York radio really sounds like. Only here at Who's Next NYC FM Radio. This is DJ Loudmouth for now. You forgot one thing, though. You forgot to give your social medias. We're usually supposed to do that in the beginning and the end, but make sure you guys give your social medias. I think you gave your phone number and everything out. Did you give your information out?
Gonzalo's got it, unfortunately.
So you don't have any information?
We're still building on our website. Again,
well, I do websites too, so let me know.
So if you're interested in anything with the Bronx Conservative Party,
please.
You can go under the gonzaloduran.nyc,
okay,
and there is a tab for the Bronx Conservative Party. You can check us out on all social media at Bronx Conservative Party, depending on which one you go to. IG, off the top of my head, I can't remember them, but it's
it's
Bronx,
on Twitter, it's everywhere,
Facebook,
Party. Everywhere.
Yeah. And we're easily accessible. Look, if you have a problem, you can't find it on social media. Just Google Bronx Conservative Party and my face pops up.
Or hit up DJ Loudmouth and I'll send you the right way on all platforms, Instagram, Twitter, Threads. I don't even know what that is. It's a cheap version of it looks like a poor man version of Twitter. It's like I'm in an AWOL chat room like in 2005. I'm 95. I don't even know what Threads is, but I'm on TikTok. I don't even know I don't know whatever these kids are into these days.
What was that original? What was the original chat room?
Oh my God, AOL, the dial-up, and
before.
I got in a lot of trouble in there.
It was Juno, one of them.
Juno, the Yahoo, oh my God. But anyway, thank you for everybody for listening to this wherever you may be and watching this on the social media, of course YouTube, everywhere. Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV, and we'll be here weekly. So check us out Fridays 6 to 7 p.m. on the Who's Next NYC FM Radio, TuneIn Radio, the whole thing. For now, this DJ Loudmouth, your baby mama's favorite DJ, and maybe your baby mama's favorite politician, who knows? And, vote for Gonzalo Duran, 2024. And you probably heard his commercial like 10 times already during the show.
Vote row C.
Huh?
Vote row C.
There you go. There you go. Vote row C.
Vote them out November 5th.
That's right.
Out there. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. Next time. Peace. This is for my home. This is for my family. This is for my community. This is for my city. I promise every day to wake up to fight for you, not for $1 million developers, special interests, or lobbyists, and bring back jobs for the unemployed, housing for our homeless, and end the migrant crisis once and for all, and wasteful spending of your hard-earned tax dollars. I promise to safeguard and protect NYCHA public housing, to keep people in their homes, refund the NYPD, put more cops on the streets and subways and in our communities to keep us all safe, bring back real law and order to our city so you and your family can remain safe day and night. Push for real bail reform to keep violent offenders where they belong, behind bars, and go after criminals and not presidents. Provide more funding and tax breaks within our districts to keep hospitals, libraries, schools, businesses, and community centers open year-round. Together with your help, support, and vote, I am confident we can all make New York City great again, leading our future. Vote for Jason Murillo, the City Council District 2. Jason Murillo, Option C. Leading our future. Jason Murillo. For more information, please visit DJ Loudmouth for NYC.com or Jason Murillo for NYC.com. And together, we are all stronger together. And I approve this message. I am Jason Murillo, DJ Loudmouth, a conservative, common sense choice. Elect me for common sense politics, where I put you first, always.